What's one thing that you dislike about German culture?
Not so open.
Coldness in the distance. Troubling history.
What is one thing that you love about German culture?
That is a hard question.
Oh, it's a very complex question.
We're always on time.
I love the history.
Hello, hello. In this video, we zone in on what Germans dislike and like about their culture. It's important to ask about both to see if people are humble enough to acknowledge the wrongs in their culture, yet grateful enough to still find the good. We'll start off with the dislikes first to later finish on a good note. What's one thing that you dislike about German culture?
The mentality of German people.
Always being so accurate with things.
Like with time and
Time and plans.
Always a bit cold. People are not so friendly.
Not so open.
And not so open. More like being shy. Not so open.
The coldness in the distance. A little bit less open, yes, sometimes, but I'm also less open.
I dislike the hard communication.
The directness can also take out like the spice of a conversation with someone.
It is very straight and not really open for other cultures.
Well, I now live in the Netherlands and there it's not that much different, but when I compare it to other Southern European cultures or even more to other cultures of the world, people are way more closed and individualized.
In Italy, for example, they are love the life, and in German we are very inside and yes.
more introverted.
Yes.
Italians I like, and we are more open than people in Germany. The way they express themselves in relationships is always quite restricted and not so open and easygoing as it might be in other cultures, and not so openly welcoming.
It could be kind of boring talking to a German if they're just saying what they think all the time.
Yeah.
Can't like have a bit of small talk about something.
We are always like so mean. So when we do not know another person, we have the resting face.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. It's like good evening, bye.
Cool.
We are never rude. We
Yeah.
could be the nicest person on earth, but we're just like, I love you.
You need to talk with us. So then we are totally friendly, but to them we are really judgy.
Yeah.
I feel like people judge very quickly and maybe stare a lot, and sometimes, especially not in rural areas, a little not as open-minded as in the cities. So I feel like just your attitude towards certain topics could be a little bit more open.
Not a lot outgoing with other people, so when you come from another country or from another region, then it's sometimes not so easy to connect because people need a lot of time and to open up.
But funny enough, I've noticed that it seems like a generational thing because a lot of the young people seem very friendly.
I think it's a generation problem. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We learned English in school, for example, and older people can't speak English, maybe.
Yeah, my grandparents, they don't
speak
to other people.
Yeah.
So they are not so open.
Definitely agree with that. Probably the big shift there, but the older people, definitely the people also who lived in East Germany in GDR, they are really pulled back into privacy because of the Secret Service back then, and everything public or everything you thought about the public opinion could get you in trouble if you share it with other people.
I think we are really stubborn.
Being stubborn.
Because, I think most of us have their own mannerisms and I don't know.
Less open-minded to new things, maybe. Sometimes having a lot of strength and moral and things like that. And maybe just the backside of the coin of transparency or of clear rules. So that it's quite strict in some cases.
People are a little bit too strict. That's sometimes a problem.
Okay.
And the bureaucracy.
Germany is a bureaucratic nightmare.
Yeah, the state is sometimes, they have too many rules, and in other countries they are more efficient in regards of this topic, and sometimes I don't like this.
There are a lot of things that I completely agree with, they should be regulated, but sometimes you feel like the 5 forms that you need to fill out to get something could be done by one single form or something like that.
Like, what's an example?
But things like building stuff and so on, where you tend to have a lot of curious problems. Like the fact that a lot of areas you're technically not allowed to build in,
if you build there anyway, probably no one's ever gonna notice or say anything. But if you ask about it, you suddenly have 100 forms that you need to fill out, which basically just exaggerates the problem, because the next time you won't ask anyone. We'll just do it.
Correct. Yes, in other countries they are more open in regards to the economy and other parts of the society. But here many things are regulated and sometimes over-regulated, and yeah, it's sometimes difficult.
I can explain it. I think it's sometimes about our politics. This is not so. At the moment, not so good, I think.
Not open-minded. They are going one way and don't try, no risk. They heard about the Bundeschancellor, Frau Merkel said, and the people does what she said. And they don't try to have another opinion. No thinking against the mainstream.
The hate some Germans have to other cultures. Many people who start with hate speech don't know the other people. So I'm a little bit disappointed of some people who are not really informed themselves enough.
Stay at home, work the whole day, want to buy a big house or new car, and that's also sense in their life. For example, in France, there is more day life and not the big car is, and also the garden before the house don't need to be perfect. Like in Germany, everything's clean and people use their money for life and pleasure and not for the perfect garden. In German it's called Spießig.
I think the stereotype of like Lederhosen, sauerkraut, these kinds of things. I mean, these are traditional German dish, especially in Bavaria, where I'm from. But I think in an international setting, this is much too often connected to Germany, but this is a very specific part of Germany. And if you see memes online, you will see often Germans in Lederhosen and with sauerkraut and bratwurst. So I think this is kind of like something I don't really like, but it's funny.
I'm honest, I think that we have a little bit of an alcohol problem.
I'm not sure if it's like a problem on a cultural level, but definitely I guess for some people it can be of course problematic.
I think that we are drinking, I would say, way too much. I know people who are not drinking at all, but I think that alcohol here is like very, very normal, and it's so common like to drink. I don't know, and I think it's tough for people who don't want to do it, but they are like pushed to do it, and it's so normal.
I mean, it depends on your social circle and what people you hang around with and so on. But yeah, definitely it can be a bit stressful if you're not into that, and yeah, then you get in some social situations where it's very important, let's say, that you participate in all of that, right?
For sure, smoking is as well, but for example, you can smoke weed here, but you can drink like crazy, and I don't really understand that. Also during Oktoberfest, I love Oktoberfest, but it's just crazy.
For example, in southern Germany, like with Oktoberfest and so on, or what also is like a big thing, like doing travel to Mallorca, like Ballermann, getting extremely drunk and so on.
It's just too much. Yeah, it's too much. You know, you don't drink 5 liters of water a day, but you drink 5 liters of beer and nobody says anything.
I don't like the negative attitude. The Germans are often very pessimistic.
Sometimes the people are a pain in the so they complain about small things pretty big, and I think that's quite annoying.
But there are a lot of people who are not very enthusiastic, positive, when something is not good, firstly, or everything is negative. This is typical German.
It's like the small stuff, like if someone behaves wrong, or if you're too loud in your apartment or stuff like that, and then your neighbor is is overreacting or something like that, and I think that's quite annoying.
I think especially at the moment a lot of people just complain and don't have solutions for like societal problems or something like that. And I think we could be a little bit more open to that, and maybe, and also don't complain but act, and don't say the others should do X, Y, and Z, but let's figure out something together basically.
I don't really like that there is no like real culture food. Or in Bavaria there is, but I don't really like that kind of food, because there's a lot of meat and there's a lot of things, and that's something I cannot really, I don't really like that much.
Are you vegan by chance, or?
I know, I'm a vegetarian.
But
yeah, of course, the past. I mean, you can't change the past. I think for today, I would like to have more honesty about the past, maybe. Germany is quite proud of how they deal with the National Socialist history, but I think sometimes there's still, there's always room for improvement.
Well, I think it's like, I don't want to say it's like we don't have that much culture. Like everybody thinks it's like just Bavaria, but of course it's in the other regions. There are not that much culture anymore because of the Second World War, and that's why it's a little bit like extinct.
Yeah, we have a troubling history. Everybody knows it, yes, and it's so fine. And the future, we're looking the future with angry, because we have many votes next month, and there may be a change of welcome people who are strange, and it's not so fine normally. And it's a little bit, for me and some others, they're angry. There will be a change in the politics.
Nothing, I think, but I'm happy with my German culture.
First part, what is one thing that you love about German culture?
Not much, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Not at least one thing?
I'm not a proud German, to be honest.
That is a hard question, because there's not too much I like about German culture.
It's a very complex question, because Germany has this awful history where Germanness was always like superiority.
I love the history.
Any particular part of the history?
The 19th century in Germany with the kingdom, and it was a very remote, slow life.
Everything is quite organized, even though it can get quite cold through that.
I would kind of say I like the fact that we are very orderly as a culture.
Everything is quite ordered and settled here in Germany.
They never come too late.
On time, yes.
The honesty and the punctuality.
They are on time.
Of course, everyone says they are quite on time.
I know it's like a bad thing they talk about as Germans, but we're always on time.
Except for the German Bundesbahn, they are very often, the trains arrive late.
Normally every time, and like to work. Most of the people are enthusiastic in their work, and compared to other countries, and I like this, but if I'm getting older, maybe I don't like this. I don't know.
But this is probably something, yes. If you're making an appointment, people would expect to be there on time.
But you have to be careful, because some Germans get offended of that.
I think it's something positive, because it's that we pay the other person that the time is valuable, and it's good that we show them the respect that we are on time.
Yeah, when we see each other, we need the time. We value the time a lot, and that's also something with Sunny. we made this appointment that we want to see each other again, that we meet together, that we talk, and we have time and we use it.
If the people are on time, you can start immediately and you don't need to wait.
But that's also slowly going away with the youth currently. I mean, I sound like an old person when I say that, but Germany used to be far more orderly, I feel. In former days, we are zuverlässig, weiß nicht, but in these times change a lot of, and yes, with characters also changed, and yes.
And what about the youth do you think is kind of like deteriorating that?
Also more or less specifically only this orderly part. The rest I'm mostly fine with because the use changes all the time and that's completely normal. And you always feel bad about what they're doing because you're not used to it. But the orderly stuff, I feel like more people are letting their garbage lying around, and respect for certain professions and stuff like that is going away.
So it's also for elderly people that they really want other people to be punctual and see it as offense if someone is not punctual with someone you're meeting. But the younger generation also sees, okay, if I'm like 5 to 10 minutes later, it's not so bad. We have also a word, akademische Viertelstunde. It means like the academic quarter hour. If you're 15 minutes late, it's always okay if you're like an academic person.
Germans can be, like what's also the stereotype, focused on rules and so on, and I think that's sometimes, it has a funny aspect to it.
The people in traffic, for example, if the red light is, they stop at the red light. In the night, nobody is on the street, the red light, and the people stop in the traffic. And this is a special habit in Germany. They follow the rule. You can depend on it.
What I like in Eastern Germany partly is that there's still some different sense of living in community. Like you see that here actually in these neighborhoods that people used to live so closely together, which was also difficult and not so private. But it enables the space to live differently together, to have more communal gardens, for example, because the houses are structured in a different way. That's something I really like.
I think here in North Rhine-Westphalia, it's like very open-minded, especially in Cologne or stuff. But maybe in other countries like Bavaria, it's not that much open-minded.
German culture is difficult. I love the Bavarian culture.
One thing I love about culture in Bavaria is that they are really like settled, and people are really like cool and chill.
I really like that we are, at least for example here, sitting together in a beer garden. It doesn't matter whether you know the people at the table or not. You can just, sit down, bring your food, grab a beer and sit together and talk and exchange. I experience it more like in the south, where you have like those beer garden culture thing, and not in other parts of Germany.
About the tradition, about the language, about the clothes, the Tracht, Oktoberfest.
I love that most people are friendly where I'm coming from. In the Ruhrgebiet, the people are very friendly when you are a foreigner, so there's no problem. Come on, bring a beer with me.
Something that I like really about Dresden is that you can meet a lot of people, can go to a group of person and they're really open, you can talk with them. That's not really common in every city in Germany.
When you had said like people here in Dresden were open, not to be rude or anything, funny enough, I just talked with another girl and she was from Cologne, and she said it's been kind of hard for her to make friends here.
Yeah, that's true. Because in Dresden, we just have 500,000 people, and in our age, everyone knows each other. So when we don't know another person, it's always quite difficult. That's true.
So it's probably like small enough to where it's like, oh, do you know what's her name? Yeah, because she's friends with.
Particularly in Bavaria, the people are hard to win over, basically. So sometimes if you're new, it can be kind of rough. But if somebody talks to you and invites you and has a conversation with you, they really mean to do that. So then you're in the in-group kind of, and I like this way of the culture, basically. So I would say, so it's genuine in both ways. If you are not liked, you will feel it, and if you are invited, then it will be genuine.
It's probably also the same thing. It's very direct most times, I think. You tell the people what you want, and then you get a direct response. Or if you ask something's bad or if something's good, you mostly get a genuine answer, like it's good or it's bad. And I like that.
What I like is, at least to me, it's clear rules, transparency on what's expected or not. Actually, good working techniques and public services, let's say.
The quality.
the quality in conversation, the quality in the culture, in the buildings, streets, music, art.
I would say maybe literature.
I like the language, poesy and literature of German people who write like Goethe, Schiller, Rilke.
Oh, of course, for example, Bertolt Brecht, who was a communist poet. Heinrich Heine, who's a bit famous because he wrote some things about Germany as well. He wrote this famous Deutschlandmärchen, so tale about Germany, which is a long poem where he mocks Germany like 250 years ago because he was Jewish and people were already anti-Semitic then.
That is something I can't find in other countries. This type of full of words. I feel rich with the language with the German language.
Classic music from Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach. I like and very much Beethoven. Yes, very breiter, also Schriftsteller.
Beer.
Beer.
Nowadays, I'm very much into regional beer, for example, which is a very like a stereotypical thing for Germans actually, but it's true for me, and that people will brew their own beer like in a very regional kind of setting. So back in the day, like every town will have their its own brewery. This is like also a traditional thing. Nowadays, things are more complicated, of course.
Which beer specifically would you recommend? Pils?
Yeah, Pils or Bavarian beer. Augustiner is nice, of course, but also Schwarzbräu. It's more like in my region.
I think the local beer here is Radeberger. So it's close to base in the city. We have also, I think, Feldschlösschen.
I would say if you go to Augsburg, because Augsburg was the place I have spent many years recently, Torbräu, like Thor's brew would be the translation, like the thunder god Thor, Torbräu. It's really nice, you should check this out, this is amazing. And yeah, Hasenbräu, these were typical Ost or beers from Augsburg, which are really nice.
Well, I think it's not really about the culture, but I'm always very happy that we are very free here and we can do whatever we want to a certain amount.
I think it's just relaxed, you know, people hang out here outside. There's no pressure to conform.
I think like going out, living like the life on the streets, getting connected, something like that, I'd say. Be socializing and meeting a lot of young people, football.
I feel like German culture is very present when people play football, because I feel like a lot of times people are afraid to like show like national pride or just don't really have this feeling of being together, this connection. But I feel like through sports people connect a lot, and I feel like especially with the European like championship, which was just like a couple days ago, I feel like that kind of shows, and I like how people just get together.
Thank you all so much for watching. The next video will be pretty similar, yet on foreigners in Germany. Make sure to like and subscribe to make sure you stay tuned for the next video. I'll see you all next time. Ciao, ciao.